Leila, my name's Amanda and welcome to the tutorial for block number 4 in my half square triangle sampler Quilt Along series. So the block that we will be making in this video is this gorgeous little beauty. This is called the Friendship Star. So apart from the layout, this block is pretty much pieced together in exactly the same way as our last one, which was the contrary wife block. This block is pieced together as a 9-patch block and it will come together so quickly that it will really just astonish you. As always, you will find all of the measurement and cutting instructions down in the description box below, along with the fabric choices that I've made for this one, as well as the pattern sheet for this block. So let's get into it. This is how you make the Friendship Star block. For this block, I'm again using the Blue Skies solid for the background, as well as the Blossom print for the half square triangles, and then a little debut of the Leila print for the center. So to make the Friendship Star block, cut 4 4.5-inch squares from the background fabric, and 1 4.5-inch square from the Leila fabric, and then 2 5-inch squares from the background and Blossom fabrics. Begin the construction of the block by first making the half square triangles. Do this by marking a line on the back of 2 of the 5-inch squares, then pinning them together with the other 2 5-inch print squares, right sides together. Sew a 1/4-inch seam to the left of the line on one and then feed through the next, sewing it in the same way. Turn the chained squares around and sew another 1/4-inch seam along the other side of the line. Snip the joining threads and then cut each square in half, resulting in 4 half square triangle units. Gently press each unit open using a medium to hot steamy iron, and with the seams pressed towards the darker side of fabric. Lastly, trim each half square triangle unit to a perfect 4.5 inches using a set square ruler. Next, lay out the half square triangles and each of the 4.5-inch squares cut earlier into the Friendship Star design. Starting with the top row, flip the middle half square triangle onto the left corner square. Then after making sure the edges are lined up evenly, pin them together. Sew a 1/4-inch seam along the pinned edge and then press the seam towards the corner square. After placing the squares back into their correct positions, flip over the last square in the row, line up the edges evenly together and then pin it into place. Sew again another 1/4-inch seam down this side and press the seam outwards towards the corner square. Then from here, repeat the same set of steps to piece together the other 2 rows in the block, ensuring to press all seams towards the 4.5-inch squares. Once all 3 rows have been pieced, flip the top row over onto the middle one. Line up and nest the center seams smoothly with one another. Pin the edge into place and then sew a 1/4-inch seam along it, ensuring each of the nested seams are flat before sewing over them. Gently press the seam outwards towards the top row of the block. Next, flip the last row over onto the half block, lining up and nesting the center seams in the same way as before. Again, pin the edge into place and sew one last 1/4-inch seam down this side, making sure all seams are lying flat before sewing over them. Press the seam towards the last row in the block and then give the top a good final press. Then lastly, using your set square ruler, trim off any wonky edges from around each side of the block, so that its final measurement is 12.5 inches square. Now of course when you're piecing together your block, you don't have to have a different print for the center. You can use exactly the same fabric as you've used in the half square triangles. You can also use the same color as your background for the center. It really is up to you. But for me, I just chose to use a different print in the center because I wanted to show all of the beautiful prints that were in the range that I'm using. So I'm going to give another shout out to you guys to keep sharing your blocks with me. I really do love seeing them. All of your contrary wife blocks are just awesome. You are all doing doing a wonderful, wonderful job. A lot of you are definitely improving with getting all of your points perfect and cutting down all your half square triangles, and it really is very rewarding just to see you grow and be confident in your skills and just really love what you're doing. So blocks number 5 and 6 will come out next week on Wednesday and Friday. This week has seen us piece together 2 quite simple-ish type blocks. Now next week the first block we're doing will be quite simple as well, but then the one on Friday will be a little bit more difficult, I think, so it might require all of us to have our thinking caps on and just to concentrate just that a little bit more. So I'm really excited to get those blocks out to you next week. So I hope you all have a lovely weekend sewing up your blocks. Don't forget to share them with me. I love seeing them. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you another time very, very soon. Bye! The third block that we will be making is this one. It is called the Contrary Wife block. So just like all of the blocks in this series, the block is made out of 4 half square triangles, and then it has 5 simple squares that you then piece it all together.